Have you ever walked into a room and felt someone's eyes on you, intense, piercing, like they're looking right through you? Maybe you've had that uncomfortable gut feeling that someone's just not vibing with you, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why. You laugh it off, thinking, it's all in my head. But deep down, you know something's off. We've all been there. A comment that didn't quite sit right, a glance that lasted a little too long, or a gesture that left you questioning everything. When someone secretly dislikes you, they often don't shout it from the rooftops. They show it in subtler, more covert ways. It's almost like a silent game, a hidden dance that only they know the steps to. But here's the thing, recognizing the signs and knowing how to respond gives you power, not over them, but over your own peace of mind. So, let's dig deep. In this video, we'll explore 5 signs that someone secretly dislikes you, signs you've probably missed or brushed off, and, most importantly, how to deal with them. 1. They're constantly competitive with you. You know the type. Every time you accomplish something, big or small, they're right there, boasting about their own feats. Maybe you tell a friend you've just finished reading a challenging book, and they immediately mention how many books they've read that week. Or perhaps you share your new fitness goal, and they suddenly decide they're training for a marathon, just to one-up you. It's subtle, but it's there, a constant need to outdo you. At first it might seem like they're just trying to keep up, but over time, this competitive nature can feel exhausting. You begin to question, why do they need to make everything a contest? I remember a time when I was working on a big project at work, one I was truly excited about. I mentioned it casually to a colleague, thinking it would be a moment of camaraderie. The first words out of their mouth were, "That's nice, but I once completed a project that saved my team millions." Now, it's one thing to share success, but this was a different energy. It wasn't a friendly sharing of experiences, it was an attempt to overshadow mine. I brushed it off at first, but over time I realized that this person wasn't just sharing, they were competing. Don't fall into the trap. Instead of engaging in their game, rise above it. Recognize that their competitiveness stems from their own insecurities, not from any need to beat you. Respond with grace, acknowledge their achievements, but keep the focus on your own path. And when they bring up their next win, smile and let it roll off you. You're not in a race with them. You're running your own marathon. 2. Intense eye contact. It starts with that unsettling stare. They lock eyes with you in a way that feels less like engagement and more like an interrogation. You know the look, the kind that doesn't break, doesn't waver, and keeps you in the spotlight, even when you've said everything you needed to say. It's like they're trying to assess you, challenge you, or somehow gain control of the interaction. And if they start leaning in a bit too much while maintaining that unblinking gaze, that's not just interest, that's an attempt to establish dominance. Imagine you're in a meeting and, as you're presenting your idea, someone across the room locks eyes with you. Their gaze doesn't flicker, doesn't look away. It's almost as if they're waiting for you to say something wrong so they can pounce. The uncomfortable silence that follows feels like they're measuring your every word. Instead of shifting uncomfortably or avoiding their gaze, meet it with quiet confidence. Maintain steady, calm eye contact, but don't engage in a staring contest. Respond to their energy, but don't let it control the interaction. The key is to not flinch. The moment you do, you give them power over the situation, but if you remain steady, you'll quickly realize that it's not about the stare, it's about maintaining your own balance. 3. They are condescending. Condescension is one of the most frustrating signs of hidden dislike. It's when someone talks to you like you're less intelligent, capable, or worthy of respect. They throw in phrases like, "Oh, that's cute," or "I didn't think you'd understand, but let me explain anyway." And you know what the worst part is? They often disguise it as helping you, but underneath there's a tone that implies you're just not on their level. It can leave you questioning your own worth. Is this really how they see me? A friend of mine, let's call him David, had a colleague who was always quick to downplay his ideas. One day, David presented a solution that he had worked hard on, only for his colleague to reply, "Well, I guess if that works for you, it's fine. But I would have thought of something much better." David was frustrated, but instead of getting defensive, he responded calmly, "I appreciate your thoughts. I'm glad you're looking at it from another angle." It was a simple way to address the condescension without letting it affect his confidence. When confronted with condescension, don't meet it with hostility or frustration. Respond with confidence and intelligence, but don't let the tone of the other person push you into a corner. You don't need to prove your worth to them. A simple, "I understand your perspective," while calmly standing your ground, can go a long way in dismantling their condescending behavior. 4. They are quick to criticize. This is the type of person who's always ready with an opinion, and it's rarely positive. You share an idea or a piece of work, and within moments, they point out every flaw, every mistake, as though they're trying to demonstrate that they're always right. They act like they're helping, but in reality, they're tearing you down, one criticism at a time. And if you're being honest with yourself, it stings a little. It's exhausting to be around someone who's always looking for something to critique, even when it's unnecessary. You suggest an idea at work, and immediately someone shoots it down. That's impractical. That won't work. I've tried that before, and it failed. They dismiss everything you say as if they're the authority on everything. Instead of absorbing their negativity, challenge their criticism with constructive questions. Ask them, "What specifically don't you think will work?" Or, "How would you suggest we improve this?" This forces them to go beyond surface-level criticism and engage in a more productive conversation. If they can't offer a solution, then their criticism becomes irrelevant. 5. They ignore you. Ignoring someone is perhaps the most passive-aggressive form of hidden dislike. They don't necessarily treat you badly, they just act like you're invisible. Your suggestions go unnoticed, your presence is disregarded, and even in group conversations, they seem to avoid direct interaction with you. It's not loud, and it's not overt, but the cold shoulder feels like a slap in the face, doesn't it? I had a colleague who would deliberately ignore me at work. If I asked a question in a group setting, she would act like I hadn't spoken at all, but would happily engage with others. After a few weeks, I pulled her aside and simply asked, "Is there something I've done to upset you?" Turns out it wasn't anything personal. She was dealing with some issues in her own life, and I was caught in the crossfire. It wasn't a perfect resolution, but it opened the door for honest communication. If you sense someone is ignoring you, address it directly. Politely ask if something is wrong or if you've unintentionally upset them. If they continue to ignore you, then it's time to move on. Don't waste your energy trying to win someone's approval if they aren't willing to give you the respect you deserve. Conclusion: dislike doesn't always come in the form of overt insults or dramatic outbursts. Sometimes it's hidden in the subtleties of behavior, a competitive edge, an intense stare, condescension, criticism, or simply being ignored. But here's the thing, recognizing these signs doesn't mean you have to let them affect your peace. In fact, it empowers you to take control of your interactions and protect your energy. So the next time you notice one of these signs, don't retreat. Stand firm. Understand that their dislike is their problem, not yours. You don't need to be liked by everyone. You just need to be respected, and that starts with respecting yourself. Challenge yourself. When you spot these signs, how will you respond? Will you let their negativity affect your peace, or will you rise above it? The power is in your hands.